From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DBICD PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime Angles Live. And I got my man, the one and only Mr. Sports Radio Aficionado, sports agent, NFL sports agent at that too, Mr. Mike Abadir. What's going on, Mike? How's everything?
What's up, Big Pop? How you doing, brother?
I'm doing well. And pretty much, we got to get up into our gossipy section of the show.
All right, let's do it.
What I like to call it, with the talking heads doing everything like that, because people are always interested, and I want to see what's on your brain about this, since you're literally a professional sports insider. Even though it's just in the NFL, it doesn't matter. All agents kind of live by the same code in all these sports. So pretty much here we are. Ben Simmons gets kicked out of practice yesterday. The drama has reached its boiling point in Philadelphia. Mike, I'm going to let you lead this one off. What are your thoughts on this? And do you feel like his agent's giving him good advice right now? And I want to hear it from an agent's point of view, not just some random person on the corner talking about it.
I got to be real honest with you. I am not in the know like 100% on this situation. But what I do know is this. And when I say I'm not in the know, like I don't know his contract details. I don't know his wishes as to where he would want to play and all those kind of like details. But he's going about it the wrong way. Right? This is not how to get out of town. This is not how you impress other teams. Shit, man. If you can't get along with Doc Rivers, who are you going to get along with? I mean, I don't remember Doc Rivers having a beef with any player in recent memory. So, I mean, now he's pissed off his superstar teammate, Joel Embiid. So, I mean, this situation is making him look really, really bad. And I don't know what his agent is telling him. If I was his agent, I would say, let's keep any issues behind closed doors. Let's talk to management. Let's work something out. But let's not air our dirty laundry. Let's not be a baby. Let's not be lackadaisical at practice and not show any enthusiasm. I mean, it's freaking opening day. How can you not be psyched? How can you not be super enthusiastic? Season's about to start. This is an absolute terrible way for the season to get going for the 76ers and Ben Simmons. And the caption that you've got here, I agree with it. It's reached its boiling point. In other words, something has to happen, Pop.
So my thing is, I feel like, okay, this is Ben Simmons' career has been a total flop, in my opinion. I know he's had success in the NBA and everything like that, but he's supposed to be way greater, way better than this from what the hype was when he was coming from Australia, playing at the prep school in Florida, then going off to LSU and playing for them and being one of the biggest prima donnas I've ever seen in college basketball to ever take the floor. I'm just like, dude, you play for LSU, calm down. You know what I mean? So pretty much he comes in with the arrogant attitude as is. He never really wanted to be on the Sixers. He was figuring out a way to try to get to the Lakers. As you know, the Lakers could have took him at number 2 if he was going to fall there. So I feel like Ben Simmons' whole career has always been something that he's tried to pre-plan, but they just don't go along with his plans. Now, one thing I do not agree with Philly on, Philly was the one that actually did start airing things out like, well, if you don't come here, we're not going to pay you for this. And if you don't do this, just making sure that the whole world knew, especially after the situation that occurred in the playoffs as well, too, when he was, missing shots, things like that, and the whole city's down on him and everything like that. Then the team kind of jumps on your back as well, too. So it gets to the point to where you just don't care anymore. I'm not taking his side or anything like that, but I do understand kind of why he's acting up like this. Both sides are to blame. Both sides have handled this terribly. And that's why I say to myself that, as I said on my show yesterday, when it was just me, I say that, you guys did yourself a disservice. When you guys had him in trade talks, you should have traded him, and Philadelphia, I feel, is being very selfish with the haul that they want to get. They're not a team playing for the lottery anymore. What do you need 6 draft picks for Ben Simmons? He's not worth all that. Marvin Bagley, Buddy Hield, and a first rounder for a few years down the road is a good compensation for Ben Simmons, in my opinion. Sacramento can make this deal happen like yesterday, and they've been trying to make the deal happen. But the thing is, though, they don't want to make the Sixers want to keep adding things into it as if they're going to be imploding the team sometime soon. I don't get it, and see me. I'm of the old school thinking a little bit when it comes to draft picks and young talent. I don't covet draft picks as much if I have a really good team. Sorry, I just can't do it. It's just stupid to do that. You know what I mean? Because I'm going to get a draft pick. He's good in the second round, and we use him for 4 years, and he walks off because we can't afford him later on down the road. We just got to use him. But you know what? At the end of the day, though, let's make good deals happen now. You know what I mean? And you're not going to lose that much when you lose Ben Simmons when you pick up a Marvin Bagley and a Buddy Hield. You get a shooter, and you get somebody who can play the inside position, back up Embiid, or be a Twin Tower situation with Embiid as well, too.
Why did the Kings want to get rid of those 2 youngsters?
Because they don't want to be in Sacramento. And, Buddy Hield is kind of old now. He's been in the league for a minute. And Buddy Hield is trying to get paid. You know what I mean? He's trying to get that monster contract. And you know what? At the end of the day, I think that what Sacramento is looking at, they got some really good players in Tyler Halliburton, De'Aaron Fox. They got some good players to build upon. And you know what? You just get them out because you want to build the right culture in Sacramento. And that's been the problem with Sacramento for the last 16, 17 years. They haven't had culture because they went through like 10 head coaches since that point. And now they said, okay, we're going to stick with Lou Walton. So now, since you're sticking with Lou Walton, he's trying to build a culture. Get everybody out the room that doesn't want to be there. Marvin Bagley's father came out and said that he wanted his son not to be on the team anymore. So, pretty much, your dad's coming out here saying that he doesn't want you to be on this team, even though they've made you a instant millionaire overnight. You know what I mean? But It's just because how bad the situation is in Sacramento for those players. It's not a bad situation because it's a privilege to play in the NBA. It's not a right, you know what I mean? So Sacramento is a small market team in a big state, and you're not going to get a lot out of that team unless you build the right type of culture like the Maloof brothers did. I just don't think the owner is a good fit. I think the owner needs to make a decision about what he wants to do with the future of the franchise. Does he want to keep him in Sacramento, maybe go to Seattle, or maybe go to Seattle, you know what I mean, and get himself a bigger base in a sense, because Sacramento hasn't done much in the NBA historically. So, I would say pretty much, or you could just sell the team, because I think that's the best option for him, because he really has
Isn't Shaq a part of the ownership group?
No, Shaq sold his piece a while ago, man.
Did he? Okay.
Yeah, I think the guy has become the full outright owner of the team.
Gotcha.
That was to make look good for the city, because we both know this. That team actually was in negotiations to move to Anaheim when the Maloof brothers were still in charge. They were going to come to Anaheim, but the NBA intervened. The city of Sacramento intervened, and they were able to keep the team. And then there was talks about going to Seattle when the team went up for sale. And then Kevin Johnson, 25th Hour, brings in a friend of his from the Silicon Valley, people, and he comes in, helps buy the team. But then you always need a group with you to look good for the citizens. You know what I mean? Oh, we got Shaq, and we got this guy, we got that guy. You know,
well, especially if you want to nail down an arena,
right? And they got their arena, which was pretty huge. Them getting their arena in Sacramento.
That's what kept them in town.
Yeah, that was big. But the owner had to come out of his own pocket to help that situation as well too. So he's selling a good package. If I was a billionaire right now, I would walk in there with a briefcase full of money to buy him. But we're not staying in Sacramento, though. I know that for sure. For sure. Nothing's wrong with Sacramento, but, it's cool. I think I like coffee more than mooing it all night.
See, I've always wondered,
country, I know, but
I mean, this is kind of like a different topic somewhat, but if it didn't work the first time, why is it going to work again? That's kind of my thought on these relocations going back to places that had a team before. It's kind of like LA. NFL didn't really work here. Why do they think it's going to now? Oh, let's do it times 2 even. It just doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. Once the stadium effect wears out, it's going to be the same old thing. So I'm not really big on going back to places where you already had a franchise. But hey, what do I know? Maybe there was some politics involved and stuff like that. I don't remember the situation when they moved to OKC. But
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Mike.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, but that's kind of my quick take on it.
Yeah, Seattle's situation is like the Browns situation. You had an owner who, well, they're not really that comparable, but you kind of had an owner that said that they was going to stick around, but they didn't, and they went to OKC. They promised all this stuff, and then the owner comes out after he makes $700 million. Oh, if I would have knew they would have moved to OKC, I would have never sold the team. You have to put that in paper. You knew exactly. They came in there with that big briefcase, and they said we might possibly relocate the team. Yeah, and he said as soon as that check gets signed and handed over to him, y'all can do whatever you want with this.
Do whatever the hell you want to do.
Right, because no other owner is going to tell you what to do with your team before you buy them.
No.
Most times. They just want to get rid of that asset and move on down the road. You know what I mean? Only team that did that was Dallas Cowboys when they asked Jerry Jones, only reason why we're going to sell you, we only going to sell this team to somebody who's going to fire Tom Landry, because we don't have the balls to do it. So why don't, because like they said, the owner before Jerry Jones had a lot of bidders, and there was people with 10 times more money than Jerry Jones to buy that team. At the time, Mike, we know he's real rich now, but he wasn't the big fish in the pond like that in the state of Texas. There was 10 other oil barons as well, too, wanting the Dallas Cowboys. So pretty much they gave him an ultimatum. If you fire Tom Landry, we'll sell you the team. It's yours. And he flew out on a helicopter on a golf course and said, Tom Landry, and said, sir, take the delivery. Just let you know, you're no longer the head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. All right, see you later.
Why did the owners want to get rid of him so badly that they made it sale conditional on that?
It might be the same. It's because the old, and you can't get out the archaic ways. And, pretty much it's your way or the highway. But then you have to remember, you're the head coach. You're not the owner of the team.
But if the owners are selling, why do they give a rat's what?
Right. They just wanted a fresh start for the new people coming in. Everything that was the Cowboys from yesteryear, that belongs to them. So just start your thing fresh, brand new. And you know what? Tell that old man, and we're going to do you a favor, because we want to see if you ballsy enough to do this. And, Jerry didn't have a lot of fans doing that, but, winning Super Bowls fixes everything. You know that.
Oh, yeah.
Now he owns Dallas, literally. Like, literally owns the whole DFW area. Jerry got something in every little jurisdiction out there. Seriously. All right.
Yep.
So we've digressed all the way away from the Ben Simmons situation and went into ownerships and things of that nature. So, all in all, I say this: Ben Simmons and the 76ers will be parting ways within the next 2 weeks, in my honest opinion, to be honest with you. Because I think that they got to move on from each other. And it was funny, Martellus Bennett brought this up the other day too. He tweeted out that he said that when a team wants to get rid of you, they'll cut you, they'll trade you, you're out of there within 48 hours. But when you don't want to stay, all of a sudden you're being held hostage.
Yeah.
They're doing everything in their power to keep you there, or they're doing everything in their power to find you until you just give in to what they want to do.
Well, look how quickly the Raiders got rid of Antonio Brown.
Yeah, it took 3 months, but
but I mean, from the point where he was criticizing the GM and his dismissal wasn't even like 24 hours. It was like, see ya.
Right. Right. But hey, he went crazy. He lost a year of football, but he still got with Tom Brady. It's all good.
There you go.
You know what I mean? It's all good. He got with Tom Brady, got a ring, and got the big he got to put the big finger up. You know what I mean? So hey, he did what he had to do. Let's move on and talk about some football. Since we're talking about NFL, let's talk about the AFC West and how the AFC West is the most dominant division in all of football. You have 2 4-2 teams, and you have 2 3-3 teams. Nobody in this conference has a losing record. You had 2 teams start off 3-0 this season as well too. And then you had the Chargers, who were looking like some real world beaters the first 5 weeks of the season, only losing 1 game, and that was to the Cowboys, who've only lost 1 game as well too. And then they just lost the game to the Ravens Sunday. So pretty much the AFC West surprisingly is good, but I kind of felt the first 6 weeks of the season, looking at the schedule, that this division would be really good, especially since you have a team that they feel is so dominant in the Chiefs. You know what I mean? Where a team where they feel can run away with the division. A lot of times when you have a team that's been good for 2, 3, 4 years, like the Chiefs, the way that how good they've been, eventually the division gets really good as well too, because they're trying to beat you. And I just think that the AFC West got to get a little bit more respect. What you thinking, Mike?
Very interesting division. Pop, do you know that the team that has the best defense in this division has the worst offense? And do you know that the team with the best offense in this division has the worst defense? There's a lot of topsy-turvy things. It's very interesting. The Broncos have the best defense, but they're having trouble scoring. The Chiefs have the best offense, but they're having trouble stopping the opposition. The team that's technically on top of the standings, the Chargers, have a minus point differential. So there's a lot of things that are upside down or don't make any sense. The key thing for the Raiders is that so far they are 4-1 in the conference. That's always going to be a plus for tiebreakers and things of that nature. I don't think we've got a very clear picture as to what's going on, because here's what I'll tell you about 6 games. When you go up against 6 opponents in the NFL, you may be going up against 6 completely different styles of teams. Some more power running, some more finesse running, some more, West Coast offense. Others have maybe a little bit more of a rhythmic passing attack, so on and so forth. And you can flip it on the defense. 3 teams with 3-4s, teams with 4-3s, good secondaries, good pass rush, etc. The point I'm trying to get at is this. It's very hard to figure out how good a team is after 6 games, because all 6 games tells me is whether they matched up well with their opponents so far or not. It doesn't give me a gauge as to who's the best, right? Because you kind of like hit it with the teams that you said beat so-and-so and lost to so-and-so, probably because they didn't match up well. So it's very hard to extrapolate from there as to how good these teams are or are not. For example, the Chiefs against the Browns, look at that result. Chargers against the Chiefs, look at that result. Browns against Chargers, look at that result. You can't gain anything from any of those three results. You can't come to any conclusions except for certain teams pose difficult matchups for other teams. So 6 games very early to be able to determine whether or not your team is viable to win the division. Now, when you look at like Arizona, for example, they faced a lot of different types of teams and they've met the challenge so far. So at least on paper and based on their record, it looks like offensively and defensively they're superior than the rest. I don't see that balance here in the AFC West. Do you?
The AFC West is tricky to me. I think that they're able to they're dominating early here because they're going against the weak NFC East as the NFC division that they need to play against. And then in the I won't call the AFC North weak at all because that's who they're going against. But I would say this: I think when it comes to quality wins, when you really look at quality wins, I would say that the Raiders got the most quality wins in the division because they beat the Ravens, they beat the Steelers, they were able to beat the Broncos, even though the Broncos aren't looking good. They did start off 3-0, and they also beat the Dolphins at the time, who were supposed to be a little bit better than what they are right now.
Sure.
So, you look at those things, you put it together, and you say to yourself, well, the Raiders might be building something here because you just said, okay, the best pass and the best offense got to worst defense. The best defense got to worst offense. The Chargers and the Raiders got a mix that works out pretty well for both of them. But if I would have to say who has the better defense out the two with the Raiders and the Chargers do have the better defense. But the team that has the better offense out that group, I would say the better offensive scheming and a little bit, couple more weapons would be the Raiders. I think the Raiders probably have one of the more well-balanced offenses in the league. And I think this is something that can be very key for them in the coming months. And now, since you've gotten rid of the diva of the squad, the head coach, John Gruden, you can just play free because they don't have a head coach right now. They have they have a group of coaches that all take their different responsibilities when you think about it. It's just that what's the name gets to throw the red flag. That's it. Gus Bradley's been a head coach. Tom Cable's been a head coach.
Oh yeah, they've got a lot of experience.
So you're not going to see, the Gruden antics anymore. You know what I mean? You get a whole bet. It's all about the team, and I think that's going to be the best thing that's happened to the Raiders in 20 years. It's just them being able to be the team because they got a great team already, and they got a team full of leaders, and I think that they can make that move to be the champions of this division at the end of the day. We know that the Broncos are probably going to be a good 5-12 team. We got to add the extra game, 5-6-11 team, something like that nature, because they're going to go on a nice long losing streak. They already lost 3 in a row. Then the Chiefs will eventually get this thing together, but the Chiefs do have kind of a killer's role on the schedule when you look at it. Come on, this week they go against the Titans. They got a little bit of fresh air playing against 2 weak NFC East teams and the Washington football team and the Eagles. So those are some good sparring sessions. And now you got to go against the Titans coming off a big win against the Bills. And when you look at it, you say to yourself that the film is out on the Chiefs. So you can't rely on them to be that dominant team this year. They have to really grind it out, win football games the long way, as I like to say. You know what I mean?
Hey, Bob, let me interject real fast because you hit on something really important, which is their schedule. The Chiefs have a tough road ahead, my man. I mean, when you look at the upcoming games, you mentioned Tennessee. Okay. In 2 weeks, they've got Green Bay, then the Raiders, then the Cowboys, then the Broncos, Raiders again, Chargers. That's a pretty tough. What is that? 7 games? 8 games. That's a tough 8-game stretch. And then they close with Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, who's much improved, and Denver.
See, that's just tough in and out. But they're supposed to be a great team, and great teams do great things. Like I said about the Dodgers yesterday, and we'll get to that in a moment. We're not going to start talking about baseball right now, but we'll talk about that in a second. But yeah, the Chiefs are supposed to be a really good team, so they should be able to show up in at least 75% of those games, right? Because you're a good team.
Well, if they split with the Raiders because they're division rivals, they split with the Chargers. They already lost one, so maybe they win one. Really, we're going to find out what they're really all about when they go up against two of the better teams in the NFC, in the Cowboys and the Green Bay Packers. We'll get a better sense for how good this Kansas City team is after they go up against both of those teams.
Well, just know when they play against the Cowboys are going to run 75 plays or better. The Cowboys stay on the field for some. That team is crazy. Like seriously, how many possessions they get in a football game, and how they use those possessions in a football game.
Oh yeah,
nuts. All right, let's go ahead and talk about the college football game for tonight. That's going to be it's going to be a Sun Belt showdown between Coastal Carolina and Appalachian State. We got minus 200 on Coastal tonight. App State, the home dog tonight. Mike, what are your thoughts on this game tonight? And where do you see the best value at in this game tonight?
Wow. I'll tell you, the money is coming in hard for Coastal Carolina. Why? Because they see the number in the parentheses pop, 14, as in they are ranked the 14th in the top 25. They're 6-0. That record looks nice. But hey, man, the Sun Belt is a sneaky conference for upsets. And from my perspective, if you could get 5 or 6 points at home, I mean, this team isn't like a walkover. Appalachian State is 4-2. So, I mean, they're off to a nice start as well. I would take the home team with the points. They're going to get up for the, ESPN game or, the big audience, the opportunity to play in front of the nation, so to speak, whereas typically they don't on a Saturday. This is their chance to kind of shine. I think they're going to be pumped up at home, man. I would take the points. It's interesting, too, because if Coastal Carolina was really ranked 14, like in terms of they're truly one of the top 15 schools in the country, they'd probably be more than 6-point favorites. Right? I mean, look at, any of the SEC teams or whatever, they go up against a team that's unranked. They're usually like 12-point favorites, 13-point favorites. So I think this line tells us that Vegas feels this might be a little bit closer than what the public perception may be thinking. So I'm all about Appalachian State. Give me the 5. Take it to the bank.
Well, I'm looking at some things right now. Appalachian State has played this team 8 times because you have to understand that both these teams just got into the FBS in this decade. So they played each other 8 times, and this is the 8th time today. But in their 7 previous meetings, Appalachian State is 6-1. The first time they ever lost to Coastal was last year when Coastal rose to prominence. So you're on to something pretty good there. You're on to something pretty good there, Mike, with that one. And last year they did have a lead in the game, 17-9. They gave it up, lost the game 34-23. So people have to understand this is one of the bigger Sun Belt games of the year. This is like their version of Ohio State versus Penn State, or say USC versus Oregon right now. You know what I mean? This is their top teams. You know, and Appalachian State at one point was also ranked as well too. They were number 25 in the nation, and other crazy part is the team that blew away Appalachian State was number 23 going into the Texas game, Louisiana Lafayette. So this conference is actually starting to become a little more relevant than most give it credit for. So this is going to be a really, really good game tonight, Mike. So I will have my plays in a moment for this one, but this is a damn good game, brother. That's all I can say is that this is a really good game. So
it's a good game, but it's probably not going to get my viewership because
it's okay.
Because of what we're going to talk about in the next segment.
It's okay. They have commercials.
They have League Championship Series.
You got to
get all my attention tonight.
And you know that they've made sports channels right next to each other. It ain't like when we was kids where you would get ESPN is channel 16, 17, and then you had to go to the next channel, which was like channel 48 or something like that. Like,
yeah, the remote controls didn't have that last button.
And then you didn't have the last button, and sometimes you would be real lucky if you had a remote controller with some cable boxes.
Seriously.
You know what I mean? You a lot of us would
have just up and down.
Channel, up and down, that channel button, So lots has changed in years. You know what? Before we go to the commercial break, I was looking at a wrestling documentary the other day on some UWF, and they had a old sports cable network in there that I used to love. It was called the Sports Channel. Remember that, Mike?
Yeah.
The Sports Channel. Don't play along and act like you remember it. Just
no. Scotty I used to watch Scotty Farrell on there at late night. Right. He used to give out some pretty good picks, and I'd stay up and have a cocktail or smoke a little something and take down notes as to who he liked, because there was one year where Scotty Farrell was on fire, and he was doling out winners left and right, man.
Yeah, man. So, and I remember Sports Channel specifically because they used to show Dodger home games, Kings home games as well. Well, no, let me take that back. Prime Ticket used to show those games. The Sports Channel used to show the Dodger games, whenever they were at the Ravine. That was pretty fun, pretty crazy. So I just wanted to throw that out there because I thought it was so funny that they had Sports Channel on that belt that he had there, so it's pretty funy. So
blast from the past for sure.
We're talking baseball, talking nothing but baseball. So you guys make sure to stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and Mike Abadir. We'll be right back.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back, and let's go ahead and jump into it, man. We're gonna go into this first though. The ALCS is something else. I'm feeling kind of cocky today, Mike, because yesterday on the show I gave out the 1.5 alt run line with the Astros money line as well too, both plus money and both cashed in. Thank goodness for that ninth inning, 7-run ninth inning. Wow, you only get those in Orioles games, bro. Seriously, golly. Red Sox gonna have to do something about that bullpen, brother. But everybody who likes the Red Sox should have knew last night you had Pivetta on the mound. Pivetta was the loss rate on Pivetta was like 80% to me. Last night, they had to really hit for Pivetta to be the guy to be the winner of the game. Even though he pitched very well, it just seems like every time Pivetta's on the mound, the Red Sox don't win the game. So it was a great game last night. Astros go ahead and tie up the series. They go ahead and fatten up the listeners and the viewers' pockets as well too with those two nice little plus bets. Even though I would have preferred to get that other bet in as well too, the 2.5 runs for the first 5 innings. Even though and this is crazy because the team only scored 1 run until the 8th inning, Mike. So that just goes to show you how good this Astros team is offensively, and that's just period, point blank facts, because they got a lot of the same guys that been with this team for the last decade or so.
Yeah, I mean, look, man, this team's got a lot of professional hitters, man. That's what they're all about. They're a little bit thin on the pitching side, but who the hell needs pitching when you could rake like the Astros? Look, let me tell you something. The way that the Red Sox won games 2 and 3 was so dominant that there were a lot of people that felt that the series is over. But I keep something in mind. Teams like the Dodgers and the Astros, they have their core champion players intact. So these guys are champions. So are the Red Sox. I mean, we're talking about the last three out of the last 4 World Series winners here. We're not talking about inexperienced teams. And what I'll say is we've got a series. I do want to mention something I was talking about last week, because last week the big discussion was the Dodgers using an opener. And I still maintain I don't like it. I don't like guys coming in different roles than what they're accustomed to. Why do I bring that up? Because last night, Cora, and it's very hard to criticize any move that Cora makes because he's such a good manager, especially in the postseason. But he brings in Nate Eovaldi. Nate is the one that gave up the runs. Now, there was a pitch that should have been a called strike 3, and it would have ended that inning unscathed. The replay showed across the plate. It didn't even get barely get the corner. It was the whole ball crossed the whole plate. But that happens. You can't complain about umpiring because it goes both ways. That's just the human aspect of it. You're going to get some calls, you're going to miss some calls. That's okay. But ultimately, I don't know. I don't really like seeing him come in that situation. I just don't. I don't like seeing Urias come in late in the game. I like seeing guys that are used to starting games to start games. Now, with all that said, all the numbers show that Cora, after a loss in the postseason, is dynamite. And what that tells me is he's able to get his team to put the day before behind them. I think the Sox are going to come out swinging, and we're going to see probably something similar to the performances in game 2 or game 3, where they're going to put up 7, 8, 9, 10 runs. And I'm already liking that over for tonight. Count me in on that over, because the Red Sox may get that themselves.
Well, pretty much if you're Dusty Baker and the Astros, you're so being, of just anything, was getting at least one win because you knew you had 3 games in Boston. You had to win one game, just one, so you can get back to Houston. And I know that was the mantra that they had, because this series, you could have closed the door on this series in Boston easily.
Oh yeah.
But that win for the Astros yesterday was huge, because now they live to see another day. This game is not going to be as big for them as it is for the Red Sox, because the Red Sox dropped this one. Now they have to go back to Houston and try to win this game Friday night and try to even it up Friday night. They don't want to be in that position. You much rather be flying to Houston, you up 3-2, and you know that you will have a game Saturday night just in case you can't close it out Friday night.
Exactly. The winner of this game is going to win the series.
Right. Well,
now, just a quick item to point out: the Red Sox have absolutely crushed Framber Valdez. So we'll see if he's able to make the adjustments. But they pounded the guy. Chris Sale, he hasn't had the Chris Sale dominance. But I mean, in this postseason, his ERA is in the mid-3s. So if he could get them, if he comes out of the game with a lead and is able to get to the 4th or 5th inning, which is mind-boggling to me, by the way, that nowadays we're not asking guys to go 7 or 8 innings. We're not asking them to go 6 or 7. We're not asking them to go 5 or 6. Now we're talking about 3, 4, 5 innings. It's absurd, but that's for a different topic on a different day. I think if they could get a nice outing from Chris Sale, the hitters will do what they need to do because they own Valdez and they're going to rock him once again. I think the Red Sox head to Houston knowing that they only need to win 1 out of the next 2 games to close this thing out.
We'll see how it goes, because you know how Houston gets in Houston, because they're one of the better home teams as well. So it's going to be tough for them to go ahead and just end the series, like that. But we'll see how it goes tonight, though. It should be a good game. I'm saying the Red Sox should be really good tonight as well, too. I think that it shouldn't be an issue. But when we get back to Houston, we will see, because you know how things get a little tricky in Houston. You remember, Mike. You got to make sure that they ain't got nobody in the outfield.
You got to listen for those garbage cans.
Yeah, you got to listen for those garbage cans. You got to be looking for the person that's acting like they on their phone, but they over there, somewhat sending the signal.
Yeah. Right, so watch out for the guy with the sunglasses and the newspaper.
Right. Watch out for the New England Patriots worker too.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so here we are, NLCS Game 4. Man, oh man, LA was on suicide watch for a few innings there, Mike. From what you were seeing, and I know even myself would have got down to 5-2 at that point. The way that the Braves were hitting the ball, the way that they were going about things, that usually turns into about like a 11-5 blowout. But the Dodgers were able to hold serve. They were able to keep their composure. And when it came time to win the game, they won the game. You know what I mean? I know that everybody was getting antsy because they was getting shut down throughout those innings, and they're getting walked, but then nothing else after that. But I don't know about you, but the way Bellinger stepped to the plate, you just had that feeling something big was about to happen. And Mike, I told you this a month ago when you was bagging all over my boy Bellinger, and Bellinger got to go, and why MVP so trash. Well, let's go ahead and get into Cody Bellinger's 2021 season. He comes in there fresh off of a shoulder surgery, an injury from a celebration with Kiki Hernandez, who's now on your Red Sox.
Raking, by the way.
Then he goes and breaks his leg a few weeks into the season. That was critical. Then he goes and fractures some ribs not long after that. So he never got into a groove during the season. So if you expected him to hit for 400 or 500 this season, you're crazy. Him hitting for 165, that actually to me was like almost like that's what should have been expected when you don't play that much during the season and you can't get into the same form that you've been in the last few years. And as I said to you, I said he's getting a little better right now, and I think things will step it up for Bellinger once we get to the playoffs. And watch when we get into the playoffs, when there's a very crucial situation, a very crucial point of the game, he will deliver. And that's exactly what he did yesterday. He delivered a 3-run shot that could be heard all the way over on Lake Boulevard in my hometown of Pasadena, California. That's how loud the stadium got after he hit that. And then it just when Mookie got up there, you just knew that Mookie was going to knock in the game-winning RBI. Everything set up. That was a perfect in a Hollywood script. But this is what they brought Mookie Betts here for, was that crucial situation. Dodgers, all those years they were losing was because they didn't have a Mookie Betts. Now, you can be at your utmost confidence, and people have to understand the Dodgers, this isn't the first occurrence of them winning a game in the 8th inning where they were down multiple runs. They did this like 10, 12 times at Dodger Stadium this season. So them doing that last night wasn't the big shocker. What the shocker was that it took them almost falling apart to remember who they were later on in the game. Because, dude, if you would have saw the tweets, it's just like the Dodgers went from being one of the greatest seasons of all time to a pure manure show. You know what I mean? Within 2 innings. You know what I mean? A total meltdown for a moment there. But I wouldn't call it a meltdown. It's same situation happened in their game as you talked about in the Red Sox game yesterday. The ump misses a strike, a blatant strike, which would have put out Jock Peterson. Then Jock Peterson goes off and hits a single. And then things start rolling the other way. And, hey, it is what it is at the end of the day, man. And you know what? Walker Buehler still has some learning to do. And, he needs to have some more little talks with Clayton Kershaw and Mark Pryor and everything about, how you stay comfortable, how you stay calm in games. Because I noticed that if he gets hit, he gets really erratic. You know what I mean? He starts getting really, 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 really insecure in a sense with his stuff. And he just stops believing. That's the difference between him and Urias, in my opinion. Urias gives up a home run. He comes right back out.
It doesn't phase him.
And he strikes you out.
Yeah, it doesn't phase him.
Home run. Now he's giving up a double. And then he walks the guy. But it's all good, man. It's baseball. It happens. And I just think that the Dodgers are in a good place right now. But do they win tonight? That's not a guarantee at all. But they are in the position right now to tie this series up 2-2.
I'm going to say the same thing as I said about the Red Sox Astros game. The winner of tonight's Dodger Braves game will win the series. Tonight's winner will win the series. So if the Braves win and they go up 3-1, they're not going to give it up this time. If the Dodgers win and they tie this thing at 2-2, sorry, Braves, you're done. You're a goner. You had your 2-0 lead. You've blown it. Thank you for showing up. But this is the Dodgers, and you can't beat them over the course of 7. So tonight's winner, that's my call here. Tonight's winner will determine who wins this series for both series that are going on tonight. That's my call here.
Yeah. So I got you, Mike. I got you. I'm not gonna go that far to say that because I think that if the Braves get a win tonight, we know that the Dodgers will win Game 5. If the Braves win tonight, we'll go and they'll have to settle this thing in Atlanta. I just don't know if Atlanta has enough to like the Red Sox can lose tonight and still win this series, in my opinion. To me, The Braves need every little inch, every little mistake opportunity to really beat the Dodgers. And yesterday they made the mistake instead of the Dodgers making the mistake yesterday. And I think today the game's going to be much different because are they bringing back out Max Fried again? Right? And they've already seen Max Fried, and the Dodgers were about to tear Max Fried apart until they took him out the game. I think that they go ahead and they feast on Fried tonight to even up this series. The most important game to me in this series, if the Dodgers do even it up, has to be Game 5 because the Dodgers definitely have to get that game. Because if they don't get Game 5, if we even this thing up tonight, if they don't get Game 5, they're giving the Braves the same confidence the Cubs had back in 2016. And then what happened in 2016 in the game that the Dodgers needed most. And there was an absolute just beat down. But actually, the Dodgers were 3-1 in that series, I think. Because they won it, they split in Chicago, they won the first 2 in LA, and then the Dodgers lost the last 3 in a row. I think. I can't remember. I don't
remember.
I gotta look up that series. Hold on. Let me look it up real quick.
All right, let's do it. By the way, I kind of want to mention something about Bellinger. So you really think that hit absolves him? Because I know you made a lot of excuses for him, and they're legitimate, all those injuries. But what about the year before, Pop?
A World Series is bad. Hitting go-ahead homers is bad.
He batted .230. Look, he went from a war of 9. He went from a war of 9, an MVP season, to 1.5 to -1.5. That's not the trend that you want following your MVP season. I'm sorry. There's a big downturn.
Altuve's had a big downturn too. Nobody mentions him.
Look,
closing news, just real quick. Breaking news: Texans and Dolphins are getting very close to the deal for Deshaun Watson.
Oh, hallelujah, man.
If I'm Miami,
I'm so sick of this Tua experiment. It's terrible.
Well, did you see what I tweeted out? I said that, and I said it on the show. I said, as I said on draft day, his quarterback comparison is Marquise Tuiasosopo, who was a second-round pick. Were you working for the Raiders when he was playing for them?
No.
Yeah, so Marquise Tuiasosopo, Rich Gannon's backup, is the fair comparison of what Tua really is. Lefty, great college career, not tough. Well, Tuiasosopo was tough, but because he comes from a family of fullbacks and stuff like that, and sumo wrestlers and some shit. But Tua just too into image instead of being a great quarterback. I think that's always been about how many ads and things that he could get. And sometimes I feel like these guys are just robbing the bank when they do that, when they come to the NFL, when they're just so worried about how they're going to be marketed. You know what I mean? And if I was ever an agent, I want my guy to really establish himself as a face of the league before we go get a big deal. I know it's money. You don't want to turn away any money, but you don't want to get your guy distracted either. You know what I mean? You don't want to get him away from Mike. Real quick question: did you ever have a guy like that, a rookie that came in with you, top rookie, and he was getting ads all over the place? And how did his career shake out, if that ever occurred for you?
That I've never worked with a quarterback, and those are good. Those are
because you can.
What I was going to say is those are the things that quarterbacks deal with. But I mean, when you have like a hot shot left guard, they're not getting all that attention. How many left guards have you seen in a TV commercial?
Not many. You got to have.
For that matter, how many running backs? How many receivers?
Oh, a lot
quarterbacks.
Of
quarterbacks are the ones.
A lot of receivers.
Okay, which current running back do you see in commercials?
Derrick Henry was just in a commercial the other day.
Well, for Madden or whatever. But okay, who else?
He was in a speed stick commercial or something as well.
Okay, but who else?
Who else is a running back? Well, you don't want to give Zeke any deals because Zeke kind of messed that up with the partying situation.
You're not seeing Dalvin Cook. You're not seeing the NFL is about the shield, brother, and is about the quarterback.
Okay, I'm just
You're
saying.
not going to see a lot of those kind of distractions. But your point is well taken. I think like guys like Trevor Lawrence can be sidetracked. These guys get a lot of attention when they first come out because there's hope. They bring upside, right? And then they don't fulfill it, and then they're forgotten about and they're hated. That's usually the cycle. But hey,
Well,
I want to go back to something though, because you kind of quickly bypassed. You kind of took a dig at Altuve, and I wanted to say something, and then you saw your breaking news on your phone. What Altuve hasn't dropped off, man.
Altuve had a terrible season last year. The Astros weren't that good until the end of the year.
Okay, this year, 31 home runs, 83 RBI, 4.4 WAR.
Right.
He's still Altuve. He's still the real deal.
But did Altuve have a broken leg and a broken ribs? And
no, well, you brought him up. I didn't bring him up. You said.
But I'm just saying he won MVP in 28. He won MVP 2018, or whatever year he won MVP, and he did not come back the same way that he was before. But that's because they was getting accused of stealing pitches, and I think that it could have played a part in that as well too.
Hey, look, man, he's been ultimate consistency. His WAR's 6, 7.7, 8.3, 5.2. His home runs have ranged between 24 and 31. His batting average between 313 and 346. I mean, the guy's been the real deal. His average has maybe slipped from those 340 kind of numbers. But I mean, hey, he's been in the league for a while now. You know, I love what this guy's all about. 5'6", maybe, and he brings it every single night. But the comparison wasn't necessarily about Altuve. It was Bellinger had a spectacular season, and he just hasn't found his form yet.
I think he's okay because he's still young. That's the
he's
whole
young.
thing. Now, if he was 32 or something of that nature, you're struggling. But he's still young. You know what I mean?
Well, what about Christian Yelich, the other guy that he was competing with?
Right. Well, Yelich is doing decent. You know what I mean? He's still yielding big money.
Yeah, the big money for sure. The stats, not
but
so much.
They haven't fell off like, say, Josh Hamilton.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they haven't fell off.
Well, he's the poster child for that.
Like that guy. The worst comeback story in all of sports. I swear, the only guy I know that never deserved any more than 1 second chance, and they gave him 15 of them, I think, just because he could hit a baseball 500 feet.
Yeah.
Angels still over there seething about being robbed by him. You never move somebody from Texas where they have you never sign a guy that has to have a guy with him when he goes out to make sure he doesn't fly off the handle. That's red flags right there. Artie, you were tripping. You should have made him go to San Diego with all that BS. And then I know I'm being messed up, Mike. I'm just gonna finish with this. And then of all teams he chooses, the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. You know what drug of choice he used to be on, right?
Oh yeah.
And you know what's right next to what's in Anaheim and right next door to Anaheim. Okay, enough said. And then when you find out the Angels had a drug dealer in the locker room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that something?
To the pitcher.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So let's wrap this up. I think that the plus 180 is kind of enticing.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say that.
I think it's kind of enticing, man.
I knew you was going to say that. I know it's enticing.
It sure looks a lot better than a minus 225.
Yes, it does. I said you get some value tonight. And you know what? If you want to be even cuter, if you really hate the Dodgers, you say, give me that 1.5 run line because I know they'll go out there and beat their brains out because they're the Braves. The Braves got their number. They're good. But Austin Riley, Freddie Freeman, absolute dangerous situations. And Freddie Freeman's actually heating up. It's funny. Freddie Freeman struck out 7 straight times and had 3 hits yesterday.
Imagine if Acuna was there.
And he hit it to the same spot. Acuna was there last year too. He was there last year.
I mean, this year to
go
on top of it.
What if Soler was there?
Soler too.
They would have probably been swept by now because Jock wouldn't have been in the game.
Well, I would like. I like seeing teams at full strengths. I wish Muncy was playing, Soler, Acuna. I like seeing teams at full strengths. To really battle it out. But hey, that's sports for you. Injuries are part of the game, and I think that the plus 180 is enticing. I don't know if I'd go that far to say 1.5, because I think tonight's game is going to be pretty close. Look, I think the Dodgers are maybe fatigued. They had a long postseason run last year. They had a very, very intense and emotional season competing with the Giants. And then on top of it, an emotional, draining series against the Giants. They laid it all out and scraped and clawed just to get out of that series. A series that they could have easily lost. But they found a way to win. I think they're going to keep scratching and clawing, but I see some fatigue. I see some fatigue with Walker Buehler. I see some fatigue with some of the other guys. They're emotionally spent. I think the Dodgers are going to fight really hard, but I would not be surprised if the Braves one up them and win this game like 5-4, 4-3, something like that. It'll be a close game tonight. I don't think that either team is going to blow out the other.
We'll see. I'm not going to put no guarantees and put anything on anything. I can understand why you say that they're fatigued and things of that nature. Braves played 162 games as well, too. And they might have had an even tougher road than the Dodgers, because 2 months ago, they didn't even know if they were going to be in the playoffs. And when Acuna got hurt, everybody had already said that they will probably wind up finishing 4th place in the East. They wound up winning the division. You know what I mean?
Because so they're playing with house money.
Right, but
they're playing with house money. The Dodgers are expected to win.
Nobody believed in them, though, Mike. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, but the Dodgers are expected to win. They are playing with the pressure of being a super team and expectations that they were going to rip through the regular season, rip through the playoffs, etc.
Everybody's fatigued at this point in the season.
Yeah, but you can't tell me that Giants series wasn't like impactful.
Wasn't like the Brewers series wasn't the Brewers series was not a walk in the park for the Braves, because
they didn't have the same.
They were a non-Freddie Freeman homer away from going to Game 5 in Milwaukee. We don't know what happens in that game, but then we don't go there. We didn't get to that point because Freddie.
Okay, then what's your explanation for the Dodgers underwhelming this postseason?
Because when you have a team that's been playing at such a high level the whole season, and then you have a team that ascended like the Braves did, you can run into a situation where you get down 2-0 in a situation just like when the Dodgers couldn't beat the Nats a few years back, because the Nats came into the playoffs, the hottest team in the playoffs.
So you don't think there's any fatigue involved? You just think that they're going up against a hotter team.
It's fatigue. I'm not saying the Dodgers aren't tired, but I'm just trying to tell you the Braves aren't peppy. They're both tired. But I know what you're saying. The Dodgers are probably more tired because their mental has been messed with a lot, because you know what happened with the in the Giants series, going 5 games, every game being kind of close. Well, not really. Only game that was really close was the last game. And the other games was either a Dodger blowout or a Giant shutout. So, you got some offensive woes and things like that, some things that are messing with you a little bit. But I think they said it best the other night. I think that they're having Max Muncy withdraw and it's starting to catch up with him because Max Muncy is a table setter. He's the type of guy that really wears pitchers out when he gets up there to the plate.
100% agree.
So pretty much they don't have their table setter there. And you know what? I tried to say that, that's not a big deal in baseball, but it actually is. You know what I mean? You got to have the guys that got you there, and you got to have guys in position. I'm just saying that I would think that they're both very tired teams, but I know the Dodgers get more slack because they're the team with 106 wins, and they're supposed to win. I understand that part.
Well said. I mean, there's nothing that you said that I disagree with. I think you articulated the situation pretty nicely. And hey, man, that's the beauty of sports. We will see tonight. Things will be a lot clearer by 9 p.m., 9:30, 10, whenever this game ends. But it's going to be a really fun doubleheader, man. I'm really looking forward to it. First game's only about 45 minutes away, so we're about to get rolling here shortly.
I want you to disagree with me, though, Mike. Damn it.
Well, I think the disagreement was on the reason for the Dodgers.
You're supposed to argue like Stephen A. Smith and whoever he brings in now.
Well, I think the disagreement was in the Dodgers' fatigue and why they're not winning.
We so lucky that we don't have to deal with a guy like that, because if I had somebody over yelling me as I'm trying to get my point across and we're sitting in the same room, I don't care. When the cameras come off, Steven's shirt's gonna be a little torn, jacket's might be fucked up, you know what I mean? When we get back, they gonna have to fix Molly's makeup, all types of shit, because that man has to watch it sometimes, man, because he just screams and yells at people as if he is a 6'7", 300-pound boxer or something of that nature. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Max Kellerman was a very tolerant guy. I don't know how he put up with it, but props to him.
Max is a little annoying himself too. You know what I mean? Max isn't all perfect like that, but I do understand where you're coming from, because I don't know how Max put up with that either. Because sometimes I just can't stand hearing Max talk when he talks about boxing sometimes. It's because he's kind of, to me, sometimes has a biased opinion because he has to be with what the network wants him to like. You know what I mean? Because ESPN has top rank. So you might have to be like, I'm a Loma guy. Or you might not give the guys that are the better boxers over there enough credit. You know what I mean? So sometimes I feel like it's a little regurgitated, a little redundant. It's not like his old HBO days where it seemed like he was coming from his actual honest point blank opinion. But that's how it is. That's how it is when you work for the big companies.
Exactly right.
It's just like the Wu-Tang thing I was watching last night. And this is why I do what I do here, because it doesn't take away from your creativity and you in charge. You know what I mean? I know it might not be dressed up and have the music and the bells and whistles behind you, but at least you get your opinion out.
ESPN strips you of you.
Yeah. And Fox tried to make everybody be free-minded and everything like that, but Fox is just not a good. I don't think the talking head situation is a good thing for Fox. Fox is better at showing sports, in my opinion. You know what I mean?
I think Shannon and Skip, their ratings are pretty solid, I think.
Right. But I also know people that work behind the scenes with the cameras and everything like that and produce shows, and they tell me the same thing all the time. If it wasn't for these shows won't keep the lights on though.
Yeah,
they're good, they're great, but they make
it's all about live sports, live sporting events,
sports, and then the pre-game, post games of those sports as well too.
100%. Yep.
But just a little media one-on-one for you guys, so you guys know what's actually going on behind the camera. Mike knows. Mike, we need to do something. We need to figure out a way to get Super Bowl tickets and give them away since we're in LA.
Ooh.
Why'd you give me that look? So we got to get the Saints to the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah, that would be a nice starting point.
All right, man, let's get into it. Talking tickets. I love me some talking tickets. As we know, Mike is going to go with the Braves tonight because he just wants to make sure he can get Geno mad. He ain't going to get me mad because I'm already used to the Dodgers failing, but he trying to get on Geno bad side now.
I'm just trying to get on the right side of that plus
He
180.
just wants to make every LA Dodger fan mad. That's the Bay Area in him. Just know that. I saw a video the other day. It was funny. I'm not trying to be racial or anything like that, but it was a guy like me. He's calling the Dodgers ring Mickey Mouse. But, usually Dodger fans try to jump you after you say something like that. But for some odd reason, they didn't want no smoke with the brother. Well, I said, let that be somebody, be Dan from Encino, Dan from Dan from San Leandro talking like that. Man, it'd have been ugly. But this is what I'm doing today, Mike. And I know you don't like it because I got the Dodgers first 5 innings. Yep. But I got your Red Sox here, -1.5 to win the game by 2 or more runs. Red Sox -125. First 5 innings, and then I have the Astros going under 4.5 runs today. They don't get any runs today. I like Coastal Carolina in the first half, and I like Coastal Carolina in the first quarter. Whatever happens in the second half, I don't care as long as they go over 16.5 points. So, we're kind of meeting in the middle there, Mike, since you like App State. And then as you can see, yes, score in the first inning, NLCS bets, and then we also have the first 5 innings, Dodgers are up by a run or more, and the under 8 because I expect 8 pitchers duel in a sense, or just a very dominant performance that doesn't equate to a lot of runs from some pitcher, from somebody, Mike, from somebody. So we'll see. So, what are your thoughts on that?
That's a head spinning list of plays there, man. Wow, you're dissecting the game within the game on multiple games. Interesting approach. It's not necessarily one that I've never gone down that road of like first quarter and first 5 innings and all that kind of stuff. So I can barely handicap who's going to win the game, let alone who's going to win the first part of the game. So more power to you, brother. I wish you the best of luck.
Well, we've been good this week. We've been real good this week. We got Tennessee on Monday night. We got your Red Sox on Monday as well too, with the 1.5 with the alt run line.
Mm-hmm.
Was it alt run line? No, I didn't do alt run line with that game that day. I just did the 1.5 with them, or I might have did alt run line if they were slight doggy, or I got to look at my group again, but we did pretty good. But
I think it was just a 1.5, but yeah.
Yeah, all in all, though, we'll see how it goes. Though
Keep it rolling.
I do appreciate you, Mike. Don't think that I was trying to get on your head or anything like that and get oversensitive about the Dodgers. But I want to just give people a little theater. That's all. And I know you're good. Mike.
Absolutely.
Mike's really Mike knows. He discusses things all the time. He goes back and forth with a lot of people. You can tell that he's a shrewd negotiator. Him talking with the Saints and Sean Payton and all that good stuff. Sean Payton, man. So does Sean Payton ever be like, hey, Mike, let's go on a double date? Because remember, he used to be the happily married man in the NFL. And then his wife spilled the beans. Like, he has a whole nother family in Dallas. Like, whoa. Let me stop talking because I'm not trying to get Mike in trouble. So let me just stop. I know.
Always fun being on the show. I love a little debate. That's what sports is all about, right? Not going to agree on everything, not going to disagree on everything, but there's going to be those contentious points, especially when we're talking about teams that you love, and that's the beauty of this thing.
I love betting. Me.
That's your favorite team. Is the team you're betting on?
I'm bad at commitments. Is why I'm not married now. Now I'm just joking with y'all.
You're like, my favorite team is the team I'm betting on tonight.
Yeah. So, but thing is though, I don't love them like the Vato Victor, but I love me some Dodgers. My first game that I went to, blah 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 blah. So, yep. All right, we're just over here. Now we're just diarrhea in the mouth. So let me go ahead. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming in.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Pop, as always.
Look forward to seeing you next Wednesday and everything like that. Say what's up to Big Raider. And what's the other one's name?
Cyrus.
Yeah, the one with the biblical. Shout out to the one with the Egyptian name and Raider and Cyrus. I know that they're over there looking up at their big daddy Mike, wanting to get some of Mike's wanting Mike to feed them probably. So we'll see.
Well, I need to.
I know.
Hey, man. In closing, I want you to get on a hot streak. I want to piggyback on the hot streak because I need to get some bankroll going for the Breeders' Cup, and I look forward to you talking Breeders' Cup in about 2 weeks here.
Okay, Breeders' Cup is going to be awesome. Hopefully, I have a conflict of interest. I don't know if I'll be in San Diego for the Breeders or if I'll be in Vegas for the Caleb Plant Canelo fight. This pisses me off. Every year we have the Breeders' Cup, they have a big fight that I'm covering. And the last few years, not every year, but
who knows when it's going to be back in Del Mar, man. So you might have to wait 4 or 5 years, maybe. Who knows?
It'll be back at Santa Anita very soon, though. So, it ain't that much of a lose-lose situation. You feel what I'm saying? Because
either way, you're a winner for sure.
Ain't nothing but a hop, skip, and a jump away, dude.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, and you know me, I can wiggle a little bit better at Santa Anita than I can over at Del Mar.
I hear that.
Because you know me. I know employees at Santa Anita.
Home field advantage.
Yes, sir. All right. So with that, that's a wrap on the show today. I thank you guys very much for tuning in. I also, once again, thank Mike for coming on in, giving us his time. We know that everybody is busy during the day, but Mike makes sure to come in here and give us his time as well, too. And you guys make sure to catch Mike's show tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time on the America Radio Network. And hopefully Gino will be back tomorrow, right?
No, he's still kind of bobbing and weaving and doing things with the Las Vegas betting exchange, I think they're called, or something like that. So I think he'll be back after, I don't remember the date. I have it on my text, like November 12th or something.
All right. So shout out to Gino. Y'all can check out his stuff too. And you know what? As I always say, bet with your head, not with your heart. If you got a hunch, bet a bunch. And the movement is moving. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles Live. I am the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, and that's the sports agent aficionado himself, Mr. Mike Abadir, and we are
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.